Chosen one. You are not here by accident. Heaven scheduled this moment for you. The Spirit has drawn you because you are standing at the edge of a supernatural turning point, a divine wealth transfer, a breakthrough that will shift the entire trajectory of your life. What you lost, God is about to repay in ways that defy logic. What was taken, heaven is preparing to return, pressed down and running over. Like Joseph, what others meant for harm is becoming your elevation. Chosen one, open your spirit. This is a prophetic appointment, and heaven is ready to speak. Chosen one, hear this clearly. When someone betrays a blessing, heaven does not stay silent. They didn't just walk away from you, they walked away from peace, protection, and the divine covering that was shielding their life. The moment they betrayed you, they stepped outside the very grace that was holding their world together. The part they never saw coming was this: they truly believed you would collapse. They pictured you broken, desperate, stuck, but instead you rose higher. You walked through storms that should have crushed you, and you walked out refined, wiser, and spiritually sharper than ever. That glow you carry now is what cuts them the deepest. They expected chaos from you, but what they got was silence. They expected revenge, but you answered with elevation. Nothing rattles an enemy more than watching the person they tried to break rise higher without them. Chosen one, heaven used their betrayal as pressure to awaken your authority. What they meant to destroy you ended up promoting you. While they traded diamonds for dirt, God was shaping you into someone they were never meant to stand beside. Their regret is not your burden. Their downfall is not your assignment. You didn't lose anything when they left, they did. You didn't miss your future, they forfeited theirs. You didn't break, you transformed. And now heaven is opening a new chapter for you. This season will reveal why God removed them. It will show you that their hands were never worthy of the future you carry. The regret they feel now is just the beginning of what heaven is about to expose. Chosen one, this is only the first layer. Chosen one, let's go deeper, because what is rising in your spirit right now is not imagination, it is revelation. Their regret didn't begin when you healed. It began the moment they understood you were not coming back. When you stopped breaking, when you stopped chasing, when you stopped carrying what wasn't yours. The moment they saw you stand on your own was the moment something inside them collapsed, because they finally realized you were never the fragile one in the story. When someone betrays a blessing, they don't just lose a person, they lose access to everything that came attached to that person. They lose the peace you brought into the room. They lose the clarity that came through your presence. They lose the protection that covered them simply because you were there. You were not just part of their life. You were a spiritual shelter they didn't recognize until they walked out from under it. And now that they're living outside that covering, the consequences are unfolding in ways they never expected. The atmosphere around you exposes everything. The awkwardness in their smile, the dip in their energy, the way their eyes shift when you walk in, all of it reveals remorse. Because seeing you reminds them of what they lost, what they mishandled, and what they can't undo. You are the living reminder of the blessing they threw away. You are the silent proof that their so-called upgrade was actually a downgrade. And nothing torments the betrayer more than realizing they replaced gold with garbage. Regret always starts quietly. It whispers before it screams. It tries to hide behind pride, behind excuses, behind denial. But eventually it shows itself. It shows itself when the nights get too long, when the noise goes silent, when the temporary thrill they traded you for turns into emptiness. And that's when reality hits them hardest. You were the anchor they didn't honor. You were the peace they weren't ready for. You were the stability they didn't know they needed until it was gone. Chosen. 1. Think about your own journey for a moment. Think about the nights you cried, the days you felt invisible, the moments you didn't know how you would recover. But look at you now, stronger, clearer, more grounded, more aligned. That transformation is not something you manufactured on your own. Heaven guided you through it. Pain shaped you. Betrayal awakened you. Loss refined you. And every step you took forward was proof that God was not just healing you, God was elevating you. The same people who caused your deepest wounds now have to face the truth they helped create a version of you they no longer have access to. Their betrayal pushed you into a level they were never meant to reach. What they meant for harm became the very thing heaven used to promote you, and now they must sit with the weight of that realization. This is why heaven allowed the betrayal. Without the breaking the oil inside, you would never have flowed. Without the disappointment, your discernment would never have sharpened. Without the loss, your worth would never have been revealed to you the way it is now. You weren't just a blessing, you were their lesson. You were the reflection they ran from, and now heaven is balancing the scales. Their regret grows because the truth grows. They are beginning to understand that you were the one who held pieces of their life together. Your presence brought stability. Your spirit brought clarity. Your loyalty protected them from storms they didn't even recognize were forming. The moment you left, the cracks showed. The storms hit harder. The confusion returned. Because the covering they once enjoyed was tied to you. Every forced smile online, every loud laugh in public, every claim that they moved on all of it, hides the reality that they are unraveling. They traded destiny for distraction. They exchanged alignment for chaos. And heaven let them feel the full weight of that choice, not as punishment, but as revelation. God is showing them what they lost, so you can see what you gained. And this is where it becomes personal for me. I've lived this. I've watched people underestimate my kindness, misuse my patience, and believe I would tolerate anything because I cared. But when I walked away, their life dimmed and mine expanded. I didn't understand why until God whispered something that now belongs to you as well. When they lost you, they lost the grace assigned to you. Chosen one, you carry a spiritual atmosphere. You carry favor that cannot be faked. You carry peace that cannot be imitated. Whoever mishandles you disconnects themselves from blessings they didn't realize were flowing through you. Their regret is not random, it is spiritual. It is the echo of the covering they forfeited. Heaven is elevating you now. Your silence carries weight. Your healing speaks volumes. Your progress is prophetic. This is the season where God turns the tables, where your glow becomes the revelation, where your peace becomes the judgment, and where your rise becomes the confirmation that heaven has always been fighting for you. Chosen one. Now we step into a deeper layer, the part heaven has been waiting to reveal to you. Because in this next dimension of truth, you will finally understand why they treated you the way they did, why they underestimated you, and why their regret is growing heavier by the day. What you saw as kindness, they mistook as weakness. What you offered in love, they interpreted as desperation. But heaven is exposing the truth. Your kindness was never a flaw, it was power disguised. People who live in darkness cannot understand someone who carries light. People who live in chaos cannot understand someone who brings peace. People who live in shallow waters cannot understand the depth of a pure heart. And because of that, the very qualities that made you divine were the same qualities they tried to exploit. They didn't realize heaven was watching. They didn't realize God was documenting every moment they mishandled you. And they didn't realize the same heart they thought they could play with would become the very silence that now haunts them. Chosen one. You've always been the type who let things slide, not because you were afraid to speak up, but because you didn't want to create unnecessary pain. You forgave quickly because your heart was naturally soft. You overlooked insults because your spirit was focused on peace. You extended grace because your soul was built on compassion. But every time you gave grace, they assumed they had power. Every time you showed love, they believed they had leverage. They thought you were blind. They thought you didn't know better. But the truth is, you were documenting every wound in silence. And when a chosen one reaches the limit of their grace, heaven moves. That's what happened with you. You didn't explode. You didn't fight. You didn't seek revenge. You simply withdrew your energy, your love, your presence, and that was the moment their world began to fall apart. Because you weren't just someone in their life. You were the one stabilizer they didn't know how to replace. Once your presence left, the conversations that used to soothe them went silent. The reassurance you once offered vanished. The emotional safety you provided evaporated. Now all they're left with is noise, their own guilt echoing back at them, reminding them of the heart they mishandled. Chosen one. People often confuse a gentle spirit with a weak one because they've never met strength wrapped in softness. The world teaches people to worship hardness, arrogance, ego, coldness, and it mocks those with compassion. But heaven honors the pure in heart. Heaven defends the kind. Heaven elevates the ones who choose mercy over revenge. And heaven fights for those who carry love, even in a cruel world. That's why their regret is so deep, because now they realize what they lost wasn't naive, it was noble. What they mocked wasn't weakness, it was rare strength. What they played with wasn't foolish, it was sacred. And here's where the spiritual shift becomes undeniable. The same kindness they abused is now the reason they can't escape their regret. The same patience they took for granted is now the thing they miss the most. The same heart they disrespected is now the standard they can't find anywhere else. Think about it, chosen one. When they look back at the moments you forgave them, they now see those moments differently. When they replay the things you tolerated, they now understand you stayed out of love, not because you lacked options. And when they remember how you always chose peace, they now realize it was because you were spiritually mature, not emotionally weak. Their regret is not only emotional, it's spiritual. Because somewhere deep inside them, they know they were given a gift they didn't deserve. And they know heaven closed the door the moment they crossed the line. Now, let's talk about your elevation. When you walked away, you didn't just leave a relationship or a connection, you stepped into alignment. You stepped into clarity. You stepped into the future God had been waiting to give you. And every step you've taken since then has confirmed that leaving wasn't a loss. It was liberation. Your glow now isn't accidental. It's the glow of someone who survived betrayal without becoming bitter. It's the glow of someone who chose healing instead of hatred. It's the glow of someone who realized that walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And that glow is why their regret keeps intensifying. Chosen one, your transformation is their reminder. Your growth is their consequence. Your peace is their punishment. Because now they see the truth. You were the one. You were the rare one. You were the blessing. You were the anchor they didn't know how to honor. You didn't become strong in spite of them. You became strong because heaven used their betrayal to awaken the warrior in you. Their biggest mistake was believing you would stay forever. Their biggest regret is realizing you won't. And now heaven is preparing to elevate you even further into blessings they will never share, into opportunities they will never touch, into relationships they will never witness up close. This next chapter belongs to you, not them. Chosen one. Now we enter the truth. Most people never speak out loud. The reason they tried to dim your light, the reason they targeted your spirit, the reason they felt so threatened by your presence. It wasn't your words. It wasn't your actions. It wasn't even your success. It was your light, the God-given radiance inside you that exposed everything they were trying to hide. Some people don't despise you because you did something wrong. They despise you because your existence reveals who they are not. Your confidence exposes their insecurity. Your integrity exposes their deception. Your purity exposes their corruption. Your peace exposes their chaos. And your elevation exposes their stagnation. You didn't try to make them feel small. You simply walked in the fullness of who heaven created you to be, and that alone made them uncomfortable. Chosen one. Insecure people don't hate your glow. They hate the shadows it forces them to confront. And that is why they attacked you. That is why they tried to bring you down. That is why they betrayed you. Not because you were weak, but because you were powerful. Not because you were lost, but because you were growing. Not because you needed them, but because they needed you more than they ever admitted. You could walk into a room without saying a word, and the atmosphere would shift. People would sense something different, a calm authority, a quiet strength, a spiritual alignment. Some were drawn to it, some admired it. But those who were spiritually unclean, emotionally unhealed, or mentally unstable felt exposed. Your very presence challenged the lies they told themselves. Your authenticity made their masks fall apart. And instead of rising with you, they ran from the reflection you created in them. Chosen one. I've lived this truth. I've watched people who claim to love me shrink in the presence of my growth. I've seen the eyes of those who said they supported me change the moment I stepped into my calling. I've felt the sting of betrayal from people who swore they'd never hurt me, and I realized something heaven later confirmed. Your light will always reveal who is meant to walk with you and who is meant to fall away. They weren't rejecting you. They were rejecting the version of themselves they would have had to become if they stayed aligned with you. They would have had to grow. They would have had to heal. They would have had to confront their demons, their habits, their insecurities, their ego. And for some, the comfort of dysfunction was more familiar than the discomfort of transformation. That's why they chose the easy path chaos instead of growth lust, instead of loyalty shortcuts, instead of alignment. Because being with you demanded elevation, it demanded honesty, it demanded self-reflection, and they weren't willing to pay that price. So instead of rising, they ran towards someone who made their dysfunction feel normal, someone who wouldn't challenge them, someone whose brokenness matched theirs, someone who didn't expose their shadows, but hid inside them. But here's the divine reversal. The moment they left your light, the shadows swallowed them whole, and the glow you carried, the glow they tried to suppress, is now the very glow that torments them. Because every time they see you rising, thriving, glowing, becoming, they're confronted with the truth that they could have been part of this chapter. They could have been part of your elevation. They could have stood beside you, but they chose darkness over destiny. And now destiny has moved on without them. Chosen one, heaven wants you to understand something sacred. Your light is not accidental. Your glow is not random. It is the evidence of divine favor. It is the residue of every moment God protected you, delivered you, strengthened you. It is the proof that you are chosen, that you are anointed, that you are covered by a supernatural grace they could never comprehend. That glow they hated, it's the same glow heaven is about to magnify, because your elevation was never about proving them wrong. It was about proving God right. You were selected, set apart, consecrated for a path that many can't walk. And the glow you carry now is just the beginning. Heaven is about to increase it, amplify it, and turn it into a signal, a beacon that attracts blessings, opportunities, divine connections, and supernatural provision. And while you rise, something else is happening in their world. The higher you go, the heavier their regret becomes. Not because they miss you, but because they finally realize what they lost. They didn't lose a partner, a friend, or a supporter. They lost a gateway to alignment. They lost a portal to destiny. They lost someone who carried light in a world full of shadows. Chosen one. There will come a moment soon when they will try to re-enter your life. Not because they've changed, but because life without your light has become unbearable. They will try to find the door again. They will try to reach for the glow they once rejected. But heaven has already sealed that chapter. You don't owe them access. You don't owe them explanation. You don't owe them a return ticket into your life. This elevation is sacred. This glow is divine. This season is holy. And the same way God removed them is the same way God will keep them out. Chosen one, listen closely, because what I'm about to reveal explains the deepest layer of their betrayal. They didn't walk away because you weren't enough. They walked away because you were too much for the version of themselves they were willing to stay in. Your presence required growth. Your love demanded honesty. Your energy exposed their demons. For someone who has spent their entire life avoiding responsibility and confronting their wounds, staying connected to you would have meant facing everything they tried to bury. They didn't choose the counterfeit because it was better. They chose it because the counterfeit asked nothing of them. No healing, no accountability, no discipline, no transformation. You represented elevation. They represented stagnation. Elevation terrifies those who are spiritually asleep. I've lived this pattern myself, watching people shrink the moment I began to rise, heal, and walk in my purpose. They wanted the older version of me that was predictable and easy to control. The moment I evolved, the relationship couldn't survive. And the same happened to you. They didn't betray you because you were weak. They betrayed you because you were evolving faster than they were willing to. You outgrew the small space they tried to keep you in. And when someone is rooted in dysfunction, they will always choose what mirrors their wounds over what challenges their spirit. They chose someone who felt familiar, someone who matched their chaos, because broken souls feel safest around broken people. Standing beside someone healed is uncomfortable. Being loved by someone chosen is demanding. Walking with someone anointed requires rising. They weren't willing to rise. Imagine them standing before two doors, chosen one. One door leads to healing, destiny, purpose, abundance, and accountability. That door was you. The other door leads back to the cycle of lust, insecurity, distraction, and self-destruction. That was the person they chose. And they ran directly toward the fire, not because it was better, but because it felt familiar. Trauma always chooses chaos when the soul refuses to heal. So don't ever wonder why they picked someone shallow, someone unstable, someone manipulative, someone spiritually dead. They picked someone who made their wounds feel normal. You were not too emotional, too intense, too spiritual, or too deep. You were too evolved for someone committed to staying small. They weren't running from love. They were running from the responsibility love requires. They weren't running from you. They were running from the version of themselves they needed to become. Now regret is tightening around their spirit. Life has a way of exposing what people try to deny. The thrill fades, the excitement collapses, the illusion shatters, the counterfeit connection reveals its true form, emptiness. And in that emptiness, regret grows louder. Regret hits hardest in silence. Regret burns deepest when they see you rising without them. And trust me, chosen one, they see it. Even if you blocked them, even if you don't speak, even if you moved in silence. They feel your elevation in the spirit realm, because when someone betrays a blessing, heaven forces them to face the truth. They didn't walk away from you. They walked away from the very alignment that kept their life from falling apart. They are realizing that choosing chaos over you was choosing destruction over destiny. They are realizing the presence they took for granted was the only stability they had. They are realizing the person they chased after was never a partner for their future, just a reflection of their broken past. Meanwhile, look at you. You are healing. You are expanding. You are stepping into supernatural alignment. You are walking into a season where heaven restores everything you lost: joy, clarity, confidence, opportunity, divine connection, financial blessing, spiritual authority. Their betrayal didn't stop your destiny, it triggered it. Their exit didn't end your story, it unlocked it. Heaven is saying this clearly: do not look back. What is behind you is beneath you. What they chose is no longer your concern. What they regret is no longer your burden. What they lost is no longer your responsibility. You are stepping into blessings they were never meant to witness. You are walking into a future they were never meant to touch. You are rising into a version of yourself they would have ruined had they stayed. Their betrayal was the key that unlocked your elevation. Their replacement was proof of their spiritual blindness. And their regret is the prophecy unfolding exactly as heaven intended. Chosen one. Now we step into a truth that cuts deeper than betrayal itself. They were never pushed out of your life. They walked out of the story God was writing for both of you. And heaven let them walk because their spirit was no longer worthy of the chapter you were entering. Some people don't lose you because of conflict. They lose you because they fail the assignment attached to your life. You were not just a relationship, a friend, or a partner. You were a divine appointment, a catalyst, a blessing, a test. And they failed that test miserably. They were given a chance to grow with you, evolve with you, build with you, but they chose ego over humility, lust over loyalty, and comfort over calling. They weren't ready for the weight of destiny, so they chose the illusion of freedom, not realizing they were walking out of alignment and into spiritual famine. Chosen one. I need you to understand this. Some people are removed, not because you deserved the pain, but because they were blocking the path ahead. Had they stayed, you would have carried their dysfunction into a future that demanded clarity. Their presence would have contaminated your promise. Their instability would have choked your elevation. So God did what you couldn't bring yourself to do. He opened the door and let them leave. And even though it hurt, heaven knew that you could heal. They could not. Heaven knew you could rise. They could not. Heaven knew you could grow. They refused to. And now they're living with the consequences of their own choices. While you step into divine alignment, they wander through the ruins of what could have been. And here's the prophetic truth. They feel the distance between you more deeply than you ever did, because you didn't lose your blessing when they left. They did. Your story continued. Theirs froze, your spirit advanced, theirs regressed. You walked forward into purpose, they drifted backward into confusion. This is why their regret grows heavier every day, not simply because you're gone, but because the version of themselves they were meant to become can never be reached without you. You were the bridge. You were the catalyst. You were the door they were supposed to walk through, and they slammed it shut on their own hands. Chosen one. I've lived this. I've watched people abandon what God was trying to give them, thinking the grass was greener somewhere else, only to find out it was astroturf, fake, shallow, lifeless. And by the time they realized the truth, the door was sealed. The story had moved on, and heaven would not rewrite the chapter to fit their rebellion. The same thing is happening in your life now. They are outside the story, looking in through the glass, watching you evolve into a version of yourself they can no longer touch. Watching you flourish in a future they forfeited. Watching you rise in a season they were supposed to experience with you. It is a painful regret, but it is divinely assigned, because this is how heaven teaches those who take blessings for granted. Not by punishing them, but by allowing them to sit in the emptiness they created. They didn't just lose you, they lost access to what you carry, and the person they betrayed you for, the momentary thrill, the shallow imitation. None of it can compare to the destiny they threw away. And now in the silence, in their private moments, in the parts of their heart, they don't show anyone they feel it. The weight of losing someone heaven had placed in their life as a lifeline. But chosen one here is the part heaven wants you to hear. Clearly, do not look back. Their regret is their teacher, not your invitation. Their absence is alignment, not loss. Their downfall is consequence, not your responsibility. You are stepping into chapters that require strength, wisdom, discernment, and purity of heart. You cannot carry dead weight into divine territory, and they were dead weight the moment they chose betrayal over breakthrough. This next season belongs to you, not them. Heaven turned the page. The story is still unfolding, but they are no longer part of the cast. And that is exactly how it was always meant to be. Chosen one. Now we arrive at the revelation that heaven has been circling you toward from the very beginning. The door they abandoned is the same door God has now sealed shut, not out of anger, but out of protection. Not because you are unfinished, but because your future has become too sacred for their presence. What is ahead of you is holy ground, and not everyone from your past has the purity, discipline, or spiritual maturity to walk on it with you. There is a reason the betrayal happened before the blessing. God knew the weight of what He was about to release into your life. He knew the mantle being placed on your shoulders. He knew the increase, the elevation, the supernatural transfer heading in your direction. And He knew that if certain people stayed connected to you, they would pollute the blessing that was meant to sustain generations. They weren't just unworthy of your heart, they were unworthy of your future. Heaven had to remove them so the promise wouldn't be contaminated. Chosen one, hear this with your spirit. Their exit was divine timing, not your defeat. Because if God allowed everyone you love to go with you into the next season, you would have carried old spirits into a new dimension. You would have brought betrayal into blessing. You would have dragged disloyalty into destiny. The warfare you endured wasn't to break you, it was to separate you. Heaven was pruning your circle so your harvest could grow without being devoured. And now the very people who betrayed you are standing outside the gate of your elevation, watching what their hands were never meant to touch. They see you rising. They see you growing. They see the favor on your life increasing. They feel the shift in your spirit. They feel the glow heaven placed on you. And for the first time they understand the truth they refused to see before your presence was never ordinary. You were carrying something divine all along. But chosen one, their regret is not simply about losing you. It's about losing access to the destiny you carry. They didn't just fumble a relationship, they fumbled alignment. They forfeited the future God planned for them through you. Because yes, God uses people as bridges. God uses people as doors. God uses people as catalysts. And you were that for them. You were the turning point they prayed for but didn't recognize. You were the blessing they weren't ready to honor. You were the answer they mishandled. And now, while heaven is preparing your table, they are facing the reality of their own choices. The silence in their life is not coincidence. The chaos in their spirit is not random. The confusion they feel is not accidental. That is the spiritual consequence of betraying a chosen one. Because when someone betrays purity, they inherit turmoil. When someone betrays loyalty, they inherit instability. When someone betrays a divine connection, they inherit spiritual drought. Meanwhile, you are entering a season where God is about to reveal why the separation was necessary. Doors will open for you that would have never opened with them attached. Opportunities will find you that their presence would have repelled. Blessings will overflow because you are no longer tied to the spirits that drained you. Heaven has realigned you with purpose, with clarity, with peace, with supernatural provision. You will notice something beautiful in this next chapter. Your spirit is lighter. Your mind is clearer. Your vision is sharper. You no longer feel the heaviness you used to carry around them. That heaviness wasn't yours, it was theirs. That confusion wasn't yours, it was the spiritual warfare attached to their presence. That exhaustion wasn't yours, it was the weight of carrying someone who was never meant to go where you're going. Chosen one. I've lived this myself. I've watched God remove people I thought were permanent, only to discover later that their absence was the biggest blessing. When they left, I felt loss. But when God elevated me, I felt relief, because I realized they would have ruined what God was building. Some people are good for who you used to be, but dangerous for who you are becoming. And heaven will never let destiny be compromised by disloyalty. This is why you cannot allow their regret to manipulate you. You cannot let their sadness reopen old doors. You cannot let their apologies soften your discernment. Not every sorry is repentance. Not every regret is transformation. Some people don't regret betraying you. They regret losing access to your benefits. They regret losing the light they tried to dim. They regret losing the stability you provided. They regret losing the elevation that came with standing beside you. But the story has shifted. You are no longer who you were when they left. You have grown. You have healed. You have been refined by fire. And heaven is positioning you for a breakthrough that requires clean hands and a pure heart, something they refuse to cultivate. You are rising into a version of yourself that cannot be approached casually, handled carelessly, or loved halfway. Chosen. 1. The gates of your next season are guarded by God Himself. Only those aligned with your purpose can enter. Only those with pure intentions will remain. Only those with healed hearts will walk with you. You owe your past nothing. You owe your future everything. Their regret is real, but your destiny is greater. Chosen one. Now we stand at the final revelation. The truth heaven has been preparing your heart to receive. Their betrayal was not the end of your story. It was the end of theirs. What they lost when they walked away from you is a loss they will never recover. Not because you are arrogant, not because you are untouchable, but because you were a divine connection, and divine connections are not replaced, duplicated, or recreated. They are once-in-a-lifetime gifts, and they threw it away. The regret they carry now is not a phase, it is a spiritual consequence. This regret doesn't fade, it grows, it follows them. It confronts them in silence. It whispers at night. It rises in moments of reflection, because heaven does not allow someone to betray a chosen one and walk away untouched. When they betrayed you, they forfeited the covering that was on your life, the same covering that was protecting theirs. Their life became louder, messier, darker the moment they left yours. And the contrast between your elevation and their decline is now undeniable. Meanwhile, look at you. You are rising into clarity, rising into peace, rising into purpose, rising into prosperity, rising into supernatural alignment, rising into the identity God always intended for you. Their betrayal pushed you into the transformation they never expected. The version of you that exists today is someone they would not even recognize. Your mind is stronger. Your discernment is sharper. Your spirit is deeper. Your boundaries are unshakable. You aren't who they walked away from. You are the evolved version of yourself they were never meant to witness. Chosen one. Heaven is opening a chapter that their hands were never clean enough to touch. What you are stepping into now, the opportunities, the restoration, the divine wealth transfer, the spiritual elevation, requires purity, loyalty, integrity, and spiritual obedience. They lacked all of these. That is why God removed them not gently but completely, because the blessing assigned to your name is too big to be shared with someone who chose betrayal over destiny. And here is the deepest truth. Even if they beg to return, they cannot follow you where you are going. The door is sealed. The chapter is closed. The season has shifted. You have outgrown the world they still live in. Their regret may be loud, but your purpose speaks louder. Their sorrow may be deep, but your calling goes deeper. Their mistakes may have marked them, but your anointing has marked you even more. This is why heaven needs you to release the emotional residue of what they did. Not for them, but for your own elevation. You are stepping into blessings that require your hands to be free, your heart to be focused, and your spirit to be steady. Carrying the memory of their betrayal into your future would only delay what heaven is trying to release. Let their regret be their teacher. Let their consequences be their correction. Let their absence be your confirmation. Chosen one. Your rise is no longer tied to who left you. It is tied to who God is sending next. Divine helpers, kingdom connections, aligned partners, people with pure intentions, people who speak life, people who match your growth, people who recognize your value without being prompted, people who see the light in you and know how to protect it. This next season is not about proving anything to the ones who betrayed you. It is about stepping boldly into the future God crafted for you long before they ever entered your life. You are chosen, you are covered, you are rising, and heaven is not done blessing you. Their regret is permanent. Your elevation is just beginning. Chosen one, as we close this message, let your spirit receive this truth with reverence. Their betrayal was not your breaking point, it was your unveiling. Heaven has already ruled in your favor. The regret that sits on them is the proof of the blessing that rests on you. You were never the one who lost. You were the one God was protecting, refining, and preparing for a greater chapter than they were ever meant to behold. Chosen one, hear me clearly. You are standing in a kairos moment, the exact moment heaven appointed for your rising. A supernatural transfer has already begun moving in your direction. What you thought you lost is returning in a higher form. What was taken from you is coming back multiplied. What was blocked is now being released. Heaven is shifting things on your behalf even now. Walk forward with your head lifted, your heart steady, and your spirit anchored. You are stepping out of wounds and into wisdom, out of betrayal and into breakthrough, out of the old and into the divine future crafted for you. No force, no enemy, no memory, and no regret from your past can stop what God is unfolding next. Chosen one, stay aligned, stay faithful, stay expectant. Your blessing is already breathing. Your breakthrough is already on the move. Your elevation is already written. If this word touched your spirit, let heaven hear your agreement. Speak it in the comments, share this with another chosen one, and subscribe so your spirit stays connected to every revelation heaven releases through this space. Go forward in strength, anointed one. Your new season has already begun.